morning, everybody. So in this video, I was thinking about talking to you guys about another facet of seeing in the spirit, which involves the separation of your spirit from your physical body. Now, what I'm going to tell you is from my own experience. I have actually experienced this, and it's important to root it in scripture too. So I don't remember exactly what the verses are, but there's a verse where Paul says, I once knew a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, but God knows, and such a man was caught up to the third heaven. And then there was another time when John in Revelation heard a voice behind him. He saw a door standing open behind him, and a voice said, "Come up here," and immediately I was in the spirit. And then one of the prophets of old was pulled by the lock of his hair up out of his body and into the spirit. So there's many different areas in scripture where things like this are spoken about and operated in. So having said that, I'll just share with you a few things that I have personally experienced myself. So I think what I'll go over first is why it is so difficult for those who are trying to achieve this, for it to actually happen. And it's this. So, and I figured this out actually being out of body. When I was out of body moving around, I discovered the key as to why it is so hard to get out. And this is what it is. It has to do with fear. So when I was out and floating around and stuff, I was just like exploring, and then I all of a sudden had a thought that placed my focus back to my physical body, and I was like, well, how am I going to get back? And that very thought quite literally pulled me back like a magnet right back in. And I was there, and I returned back to my physical body. And so the thing is if people are trying to get out, and they're thinking about, well, what happens if what happens if I die if I leave, or what happens if I can't make it out, or what happens, how am I going to help myself get out? All of those questions place your focus on the body, and they hold you back. They hold you. So you don't have to be sucked back in like a magnet, because you're already sucked in like a magnet. And so see, that's the thing. That is the reason why it's so difficult to get out. That's why when you're reading some of the books that teach about this stuff, they talk about, well, you have to let go, you have to surrender, you have to do you have to do certain things like that, and that's really what it is. They say, well, concentrate on your breathing and don't really don't concentrate on anything else, and that's why they have you do that. That's why from the good side, that's why people tell you to concentrate on the Lord, or to concentrate on good things, of God. Because when you're doing that, you're not focused on the actual action that's taking place. So that is the key on how to get out. But there's a little bit more too. So, and this I'll share my personal experience about this, which I think might help for others to be able to achieve it. So let's see here. The first thing that I did was I sat down, and I really just I spent some time relaxing my body. Like I would concentrate on like my forehead, my eyes, my just the different features of my face and and my lower body and everything, and I would just I would concentrate on relaxing that part of my body. I would in a way give my body permission to relax, just be able to feel that sinking down motion, that heaviness in a way, and it just allows you to really enter into a place of serenity, and I believe it's the essence of the verse where God says, "Be still and know that I am God," and really that's what it is. You're being quiet in His presence. You're being still before Him, and you're just quieting down. You're just quieting down your thoughts. So see, the whole thing is about the New Age practice and all that. If our focus is on the Lord, let's say that there is no such thing as New Age, and there is no such thing as knowing about any of this, and someone all of a sudden just decided to. Let's say they were looking up the clouds and they saw just the beauty of it. They saw the beauty of what was in front of them, and it just placed them into an absolute harmonious place of serenity. And they all of a sudden just decided to close their eyes, or even with their eyes open, and they just quieted their thoughts. They just enjoyed this presence of the Lord. They enjoyed this painting that God the Father painted for them, and they're just calming down. They're calming down their thoughts, and all of a sudden things start to happen. It doesn't have anything to do with intention. It actually has to do with a focus off of thought, with a focus off of self, and the intention really doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. It does matter, because if the focus is on a negative aspect, it will take you into a negative aspect, which you don't want. But in the case that I'm talking about, where nobody knows anything about it, and people are just looking at His nature or whatever, they would slip in, without it being considered witchcraft, New Age, that sort of thing, because it's something that God created. It is something that the Lord has made accessible to everybody. It's just part of His design, is what it is, and it's not scary either. Actually, well, I guess I'm going to say there's a tiny bit of fear that can be there, because of the newness of it. But at the same time, it's more like an adventure. It's more like, wow, this is cool. What happens next? That type of thing. So once everything is relaxed. Oh, and by the way, once you've figured out how to relax the different portions of your body, and you've felt that feeling, you can, with a single thought, instantly relax it. So I can relax every portion of my body with a single thought now. Just boom. And you guys can do that. And that makes it nice, so that way you don't have to continually meditate all the time in order to try to get to that point. It's like going over an ocean bar. The ocean bar is the dividing point between the biggest wave and the open ocean. And as you strive to go over the waves, the small waves, you're actually making progress, and you can start at that point. So if you make it over 3 waves and you have to go do the dishes, or or help somebody do something or whatever, you can return back to it at that 3rd wave and keep going. So that makes it encouraging, because that the progress that you have is just going to keep stacking up, and it's going to keep increasing up. All right. So once you relax your body, learn to relax your body, and you begin to slow your breathing, what's going to happen is you're going to start to feel a weight pressing down, and a lightness at the same time. you're gonna like the weightiness that I'm talking about is actually your I think it's your spirit like moving down, like it's heaviness, but at the same time it's super light. It's hard to explain, but as you're focusing on your breathing, you're focusing on the Lord. Actually, focus on the Lord. You want to marry the stuff with Scripture, because once you go out of body, the last thought that you were thinking about is where you're going to enter into. So if you want to go into heaven, you need to be thinking about heaven. If you want to exit out and visit your house or whatever, like go around your house, then you need to be thinking about that. So let's see here. So yeah, so relax your body, slow your breathing, focus on the Lord, and at this point in time, you'll all of a sudden start to lose feeling of your physical body, and you'll begin to have a new feeling of what feels like a watery substance. Like your entire body will quite literally feel like physical water. Like when you won't. I mean, you can move your physical body, but if you just concentrate on moving your spirit, you can feel that watery sensation of, like, say, an arm moving. You can feel that watery sensation as an actual movement, and you can feel it, go up or down or whatever. I remember when I was at the School of Translation, when I was first learning this stuff, I was my whole entire body was like water. I felt like I was sitting in water, just like a puddle of water that was like built into the chair. Is really cool. But I could, like, seriously lean back with my spirit. My physical body was still upright, but I could feel the physical movement of this watery sensation of my spirit, where I could actually go back through the chair, the back of the chair, and then come back up again. It was very, very strange. Absolutely strange. But see, when you're in this state of sensation, you've transferred your consciousness from your physical body to either your soul or your spirit. Actually, Michael Van Blymen and Bruce Allen at the School of Translation said that for Christians, the soul is fused to the spirit. And so there's no separation in that aspect, and so the silver cord's not needed, because in the New Age practice, the silver cord is a separation from soul and spirit and such, and still out of body. So let's see here. So yeah, so I could move my body, my spiritual body or soul body. I'm just gonna say spirit, because it's spirit soul fused. So I moved my spirit like back and forth, and it was very, very strange. And then give me a second, changing lanes, and I'm just gonna change this lane up here too really quick. So yeah, okay. So let's see, where was I? Sensations of the spirit. Yeah. So those are so that's what the sensation feels like. And once you can feel that sensation, you will know that you have successfully transferred your consciousness from your physical body to your spirit, because you can think about your physical body, but you won't be able to feel it. It'll almost be like you're numb or paralyzed in a way. But you're not paralyzed. You can still move your physical body if you want to. But there's another feeling that goes on where if you choose to become aware of the current state, you feel that paralysis in a way, where you feel that you feel more of your spirit than your physical body, and you can't really, you're not receiving sensations to your physical body, but you are to your spirit. So achieve this state, the next thing that happens is, if you keep your focus off of you, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to do that. Yeah, keep your focus on the Lord, keep your focus on your breathing, etc. Then what will happen is you will begin to feel like saltwater taffy stretching. When I was in my office building, and this was happening to me, I felt my spiritual body stretching. Like, I still felt attached to the physical, but I felt myself quite literally being stretched like saltwater taffy, backwards through my chair, and the other interesting thing is this: I had my eyes closed, but two types of spiritual sight activated. One of the spiritual sights was, I could see the entire room around me, even though my eyes were closed, in HD color, perfect color. It was very interesting. And at the same time, simultaneously, I had another aspect of sight, which was a 360 degree view of the entire office space. And I could actually see me sitting in the chair from this perspective, and I could quite literally watch from a third person point of view what was going on in the first person point of view, and I could switch in between them both. I mean, they were both active at the same time, but I could choose which one to focus more on. But I was aware of both of them simultaneously. Very, very strange. So then, so as I was moving back through my chair, I was, hold on, I'm turning. So as I was moving back through my chair, I went through a wall, and I saw the some other people in their cubicles. They were typing and stuff and doing their job. And I kept going past them, and I went across the floor. Let's see, it was all the way out a window, and I was floating, in midair, 3 stories up, and it was going pretty fast. So I was wondering why it was pulling me, because it was like a magnetic sensation that, and I don't know, it's just so strange. So let's see here. At that time, I started kind of freaking out because I wasn't in control of this pull. And when I started freaking out, I got pulled back into my body, and that was the end of that experience. Now, there was another time after the school of translation, a couple days, was I was laying in my bed. And let's see, I had my pillow over my eyes, my CPAP on. I was taking a nap, and see, I was kind of in a small, or like I was in the first stages of a dream state, where you can like sort of be there and not there at the same time. So I was there, and then all of a sudden my focus shifted to an instant ability to feel the sensation of the watery spiritual body, but without even really concentrating on those sensations. My consciousness just instantly transferred over to my spirit from my physical body, and I felt I felt my body go down. It went down under my bed, oh man, how do I explain that? The feeling, I'm just going to tell you, my description is going to sounds kind of strange, but I'm just going to tell you anyways because it's the truth. I felt like my body was flushing, just like the water going down, like when you flush a toilet. It just went swoosh. It was like water splashing down from being poured from a glass. and that was my spirit going down. It like shot underneath my mattress, and I was immediately aware. Now this is very interesting. I learned a few things on this experience in this one. And what happened was my eyes were closed. My spiritual eyes were closed. But this time I was not active to be able to see the room around me. I wasn't active to be able to see anything. Everything was dark. I just knew. I had that feeling. I had a spiritual perception. I didn't have a spiritual sight of first person or third person at that time, but I did have a perception of where I was. I just knew where I was. I didn't know how I knew where I was. Maybe it was because I knew I was laying in my bed and I felt a downward motion. Maybe that's what it was. So this is what happened was, after I went down into my bed, or down below my bed, my spirit started beginning to float very slowly, forward and upward at about 45 degrees. And I wasn't controlling it. During that time, I was just trying to figure out what was going on. And I was also trying to figure out how to open my eyes to see. And I was thinking in my mind, I was like, well, if I open my eyes, is that gonna trigger my physical body to pull me back in? I don't want to do that. And so I was able to kind of see, like I had my eyes open just barely enough where I could see like fuzz and not a whole lot of clarity of what was going on. And by the time I had got my eyes open to that point, I was already at I had already floated over and up at 45 degrees past my bed and up to my bookshelf. When my eyes opened, I felt this, I heard a sizzling sensation, right? If you've seen the movie Ghost, where Sam puts his hand through a door, and it makes that sizzling sound, I kid you not, that's exactly what it sounds like. I couldn't believe it. I was totally reminded of that when I was doing that. So I had my head inside my books in my bookshelf, and I was like, this is really, really strange. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I gotta get my eyes open wider so that I can experience more. I want to know what else happens. And as this was happening, I was still floating. So I went through the wall, and I was in the laundry room. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try. I'm just gonna try it because I really want to be able to have this experience and learn more. Now, so I decided by my will to open up my spiritual eyes. Now, as my spiritual eyes opened, they felt, I kid you not, they felt just like my physical eyes opening. It was very, very interesting. Just really quick, I think that is actually the aspect of your spiritual eyes opening. Your spiritual eyes feel like your physical eyes opening. So if you were to take that spirit that is floating around and put it back in the body and do that same exact motion of opening up your spiritual eyes, but they feel physical, that actually would open you up to be able to see with open eyes into the spiritual realm, right? Because it's your spirit. So you're either in your body with your spiritual eyes open, or you're out of your body with your spiritual eyes open. Okay, now, after the laundry room, I continued to float through yet another wall into the living room, and I saw my wife down below. I was up by our fan, our ceiling fan, with vaulted ceilings, still going 45 degrees, and then I stopped. I did not choose to stop. I just stopped. So who knows how that works? I don't know exactly. I don't know why I went to that point and then stopped? That's a huge question mark on my mind. But once I did stop, I was able to play around a little bit. So if I thought in my mind that I want to cruise over from one place to another, exactly that is exactly what would happen. I would float over there to that place that I was thinking about cruising over to. Okay, now that's a key. When you're in this realm, if you think about cruising to a place, you'll cruise there. And there was another time when I was like, I know I probably shouldn't have done this, but I wasn't in, I was gonna try to open up a drawer to see if I could get my wife's attention. That probably would have scared her. And I know I shouldn't have done that. I was just trying to test things. And she didn't get scared, and it didn't happen. But this is what. So we're talking about moving in the Spirit. So hold on, I'm parking, and I don't have a meeting for a while, so I can sit here and talk for a minute. Okay, so I wanted to go to the floor and to stand in front of the drawer in front of me, and I thought to myself, I want to open that drawer. I want to go stand in front of that drawer, and what happened then was I teleported there. Right, I didn't say I want to cruise to the drawer. I said I want to go in front of the drawer, and so, your wish is my command. Boom, teleported there. So I was before I was on the other side of the bar that divides the kitchen and the living room, floating around in there, and I was looking toward the bar where the counter or where the cabinet is on the other side. And when I said I want to be able to be in front of the cabinet, I was immediately turned the opposite direction, teleported, standing right in front of the cabinet. And then, of course, that was when I was thinking, well, how am I going to get... I remember I had a thought about my physical body. I was like, oh, yeah, that. How am I going to get back to that? Boom. Back in the physical body. That fast. So, let's see here. Yeah, that is... those are the experiences that I have personally had with out-of-body experiences, and and that's how you do it. That's how it all works. It's very, very interesting. Now, another question might arise is, well, how is this going to help advance God's kingdom, right? Yeah, that's a good question. It's not all about just going and having fun and cruising around and exploring. Everything that takes place in the physical realm, like when you do healing or you release healing power from the Lord through you, it actually starts at the physical or in the spiritual realm, because it moves from heaven through your spirit, through your soul, out your physical body, and the spiritual realm that you're in is a place where you can actually see the movement of these things, and as you're in that place, your faith will increase, your belief will increase, and you'll be able to have a greater release of power, of God's power flowing through you, in order to do healings, or the miraculous and what have you. So there's that, and then also, of course, if somebody needs prayer, you can go straight to them and you can pray over them. You can pray over them in tongues. One of the things that I really want to do, is to get this down 100%, so that I'm always in operation for the Father. so that I'm always available for the Father. Because when I'm awake in the physical realm, I can be working for the Father by serving others, by sharing His name, by sharing His revelation, His love, and then let my body sleep. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, right? I think that's what that actually means. And so you can go out of body and you can go serve the Father. Translate around and help people in many ways, or go or translate into heaven, while your body's sleeping, and spend some time before the altar of intercession and intercede for people, or spend time in the presence of the Father, just worshiping Him and loving Him, or explore heaven, learn new things, new revelations to take back to share with others, or go around the earth, pray over nations, pray over areas, pray over people, your family. You can do all these things. The absolute awesome nature of being able to do these things is, it's a connection that you have with the Lord, and you're made from Him. You are His image, and so you are the source of the all-consuming fire. You're part of that. You're part of Him, and you're only limited to enter into and exit places that are a part of Him. So wherever He's at is an entrance and an exit that you can go into. And you guys have heard me talk about vibrations and stuff. That everything has a unique vibration. Places have vibrations. People have vibrations. Colors have vibrations and frequencies. All the different elements, wind, fire, metal, trees, emotions, spiritual beings, physical beings, pretty much anything that you can think of that has been created, with created light, and even beyond that, that is a part of God, is a frequency, a unique frequency. You can learn to pick up and remember those frequencies. It's like radio stations, like if you want to hear the Holy Spirit, you tune into the Holy Spirit and boom, He's continually talking. You can always hear Him. If you want to see what the Holy Spirit's doing, well, then you tune into that station and you can see everything that He's doing. You can see what the Father is doing. So since everything has a frequency, you learn how to tune into those frequencies. So like, let's say that you're in a room, let's say that you're in heaven and you remember that frequency. And the frequencies, they come with feelings. So you remember these feelings, you remember the emotions, you remember just the tie-in of everything all together and the uniqueness of that area. Like if you imagine yourself standing in the grocery store versus standing in your living room, you can feel a different frequency. Or if you go over to a stranger's house that you've never been to, you can feel that that difference in the house. It's a feeling. And right before you go out of body, if you are thinking about that frequency, that's the frequency you're gonna go to. You will go straight to it. Or if you're already in the spirit and you think about that frequency, you'll teleport to it. Boom. Just like that. So that's translation. That's translation by faith, not physical translation. Physical translation, from what I have seen thus far, is only attainable by sovereign acts of the Lord. I don't know if it's possible to do that at will or not. I think Bruce Allen might be able to. I don't know. That I do not know. That would be interesting to know more about. But yeah. So you can definitely, it's yet another area of relationship that you can have with the Father, that you can have have with the Lord, you know, exploring heaven, exploring his earth, feeling that freedom of movement, and just, you know, worshiping him and serving him, and helping others, quite literally changing the world. You know, just going around and touching the world with the love of the Father, touching the heavens with the love of the Father. You know, you can just go into heaven and breathe in heaven. I mean, when I was in the School of Translation, I was in the middle of worship, and I was translated. I was translated into heaven, and God gave me the opportunity to feel what it feels like to be all of the elements. He knows one of the things that I would that I would love to do. Like, I watched the cartoon show Avatar, you know, where water bending and fire bending and all that kind of stuff happens. I was like, God, I would love to do all that stuff. That would be fun. And so, you know, God, being cool like he is, giving good gifts to his children, the desires of their heart. When I was in the School of Translation during worship, he pulled me up, and first of all, I was in water. I actually became water. It was very strange, because when you become water, you become aware of everything in the water. And you can feel the movement of the wave. You are the waves, and you can feel that movement. You can actually feel your spirit. Remember how I was saying how your spirit stretches like saltwater taffy? Well, imagine that your spirit is stretching to the very nature of the element of water. You know, if it was only like one drop of water, you'd be expanded to that. But in this heavenly place, it was like a crystal beautiful sea, and I became a part of all of it. You know, not just a drop. It was more like all of it was connected together, and I was the entire thing. And I could feel down below. I could feel the mist up above. I could feel the movement of the waves. And it was just awesome. And then I was taken into I don't remember the order. It's in another video, but I was able to become fire, and that was very, very interesting, because you know how fire like kind of flickers and disappears and you know, goes in different directions and stuff. I was like moving in and out of existence, and like aware of every single flicker of the flame. And I could feel the heat. I could feel the increased amount of heat in certain areas, and the decreased amount of heat in certain areas. It's what it's like to be fire. And it's very interesting. And then the wind. Oh man, the wind. Gosh, when like the eagles in the heavens, the golden eagles are flying through the wind, and their feathers are just brushing across the wind. You can feel it. As the wind, you can feel the movement. You can feel the emotion. You can feel the love of the movement of these beings that are moving through this glory air or whatever, and as the air. Just absolutely amazing. I never actually did become an aspect of Earth, but I did. I saw a double door in front of me, and it opened up like this, and there was a huge bright light, so blinding light. It was so blinding. I mean, imagine that you're staring at the sun, and then amplify that about 1,000,000 times brighter. You know, and that's what it looked like. And I was moving. My conscious self was moving. I didn't see. This is another thing. During this experience, I didn't see any form of body of me anywhere. I became all these different things, but I still had eyes to where I could see. I could perceive the movement of what was going on, and so So as this light was shining, I was moving into it, and the doors were getting bigger. Obviously, when you apparently there's depth perception in heaven in that way. Yeah, I'm always trying to like learn new things so I can teach them and stuff. But as I was moving into this light, I became the light. I became the absolute essence of the all-consuming fire of the Lord. Like He pulled me into Himself, into oneness, and I was one with Him. I can't even describe the nature of what that was like. And I did not ask for this. It just happened. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure why I disconnected. So I'll combine these together. So what happened was so Bruce Allen was at the Translation by Faith School with a bunch of students, and he said, "Okay, with my authority, I can command a portal to open." So he said, "In the name of Jesus, portal open." And when he did that, what happened was invisible appearance to all of the students. All the students were able to actually see this portal. So there's really cool things that go on at the school. And I'll tell you another aspect of sight that I received at the school. So when I was sitting in my chair, and I felt the watery sensation going on. Remember, we were talking about that. There was another thing that was taking place before I actually went out of body. And there was another experience that I had going out of body too. So what happened was, as my awareness shifted to my spirit, and I had that watery sensation, I was talking to the Lord and just absolutely falling in love with Him in ways where I could actually feel the movement of love being pressed down in through my being and toward Him. Just an absolute surrender of self and an absolute love, declaration of love for Him. And as I did this, my spiritual eyes opened in a different way. All of a sudden there was like a big, huge silk sheet that was being dropped over the room. It was a dark sheet, and the lights dimmed, and I watched it drop down, and the lights dimmed down to about 30% visibility. And at that time, some spiritual beings that were in the room at the school started to show up like glowing orbs. And they as the sheet was coming down, they were coming. So the sheet was going down. They were coming forward. They were like appearing out of thin air and glowing in a way. And they were about this. I didn't see the actual features of them, but I saw like the oval glowing nature of them. And then all of a sudden there was another glow that appeared. The other glow that appeared was very, very close to me, like right in front of my seat, and it spanned. It was like a cloud. It was like an orange cloud, and this orange cloud was very translucent. I knew it was there, but I could see through it. I could see I could see everything in the physical. I could see everything in the physical behind all these things in the spiritual. So I was seeing in the spirit and in the physical at the same time. And the glowing orbs that were like oval shaped, size of a person or whatever. They imagine a really thick fog and placing a super bright light behind every portion of it, and it's shining through and making it glow. That's what it looked like, and they were different colors. couple of them were white, and I think one was green. I don't remember. I have to meditate on it again. So now, as that was happening, as the angelic were starting to show up, after the silk sheet dropped down, I felt a physical movement of my eyes. See, there's the physical movement of the eyes again. That's a confirmation of that nature. And while I was still in my physical body, this was taking place. But you know what was really strange, that what was different on this one was my physical eyes felt like they were opening. My eyes were already open. My physical eyes were open, but I felt another set of eyes opening. But you know, when they opened, it almost felt like they started looking up, like into the top of my head. It was very, very strange, super strange. But all of this was taking place simultaneously. The letting down the sheet, the appearing of the angels, the movement of the eyes, and the feeling of the sensation of the water that I was sitting in. It was simultaneously taking place all at the same time. The next day, I was like, gosh, I wonder if I could reproduce this, if I could reproduce this type of sight. And that was when the revelation of understanding what it means, when it says, when the prayer in Ephesians, where I pray that the eyes of your heart will be enlightened. I know what that means now. Your heart literally has eyes inside of it, and it connects directly to your physical eye. Well, okay, no, hold on. So you have your physical eyes, and then you have your spiritual eyes that are superimposed right on top of your physical eyes, and they feel like your physical eyes. So it's difficult to identify when they're opening and when your physical eyes are opening. And the eyes of your heart are also another set of eyes. So that's 3 sets of eyes. And this is what happens when you fall in love, in passionate love with Jesus. This is why people tell you in book after book after book about seeing in the Spirit, about focusing on the Lord, about focusing on Jesus, and it releases you to all of a sudden see. The reason why is because there's a connection that goes from your heart, a passionate connection that goes from the eyes of your heart to the eyes of your spirit behind, that are superimposed over your physical eyes, and then okay, so this is gonna be number 3. So it's that passionate love that you have for the Lord. You say it's a removal of focus on you, and it's a placement of focus on Him. So if you say anything about you, it's about what you can't do. And if you think something about Him, it's about what He can do. So you say, Lord, I can do nothing on my own. I cannot breathe on my own. I cannot think on my own. I can do nothing on my own. Lord, it is by your will. It is by your love. It is by your power. It is by your grace. It is by your mercy. Lord, I love you. Lord, I give myself to you. Lord, I press into you, Lord. So see, it's that passionate movement. That passionate movement, it literally establishes a channel between the eyes of your heart and your spiritual eyes, over your physical eyes, and when that takes place, that's when you can see with that capacity. And you actually, in your consciousness, you actually feel like you're inside of your heart. Like you can think about looking up, and you can see your head above where you're at, like you're down here inside your heart. But at the same time, you still have that simultaneous awareness of being able to see through your spiritual eyes. And an indication that that's taking place is when the lights in the room that you're in dim down. It's like a change in frequency, a change in it's like the shift between your physical eyes to your spiritual eyes. For some reason, they have a quality of a little bit of a darker, what is the word I'm looking for? Sensation? You? I think you guys understand what I'm talking about. All right, so one last experience was the instructor at the school was telling us all while we were sitting there and we were just calm, relaxed, entering into that place of rest, we would all be instructed to imagine ourselves flying out of our body from where we were sitting to, say, a grocery store or something, and then fly back, and then keep doing that like 10, 20 times or so, and that was like one of the methods to be able to break free, to break out of body. And what happened was, after I had all this passionate love for the Lord, I was all of a sudden floating in the room. I like launched out, and I was looking down at all the heads of all the different classmates that were inside of the room, and as this was happening, I had realized that I made the greatest mistake that I ever made while I was there, and that mistake was that I forgot to invite Jesus. I forgot to invite Jesus to come along. And so I went back into my body and I asked the Lord for forgiveness. I said, Lord, will you please forgive me? I really want to be able to share these new adventures with you. And so will you please come? Will you please come with me? Will you come back and will you explore with me? Jesus is really, really awesome, and he's super forgiving. Everybody knows that. And he, without a second thought, right after that heartfelt speech that I gave to him, he pulled me out. He pulled me out of body at the speed of light, and we weren't transported. We were moving very fast, right? And remember, I was talking about cruising from one place to another. Well, Jesus decided to go really, really super fast. So we went out of body, up out of the building, and over the lake that was to the left. Or I don't know if it was a lake or a river or ocean or body of water. I should probably know that since I was right next to it, but I don't. There was water there, I promise you that. It was a body of water. And it was nighttime. It was nighttime, and it was absolutely beautiful. The water was glistening. And I didn't get a whole lot of time to spend here, because he all of a sudden decided to go at light speed toward an ocean, and now he shot, and we shot all the way down, like so deep into the ocean, and I almost got hit by a blue whale. Like I knew it was a blue whale, and it was there, and it frightened me. I was just like, whoa! I was like trying to move back. I was like, okay, Lord, and then all of a sudden, without another second thought, we started flying up out of the water. I saw the splash of the water, and then we went through the sky. We went all the way through the sky, all the way into space, and we were over by Saturn, the rings of Saturn, and then he slowed way down to where we were on cruise control, and we were we were floating around together, and I could see in HD detail the detail of space, and like the rocks or asteroids or whatever you call them. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. And so we were cruising around for a little bit, and then Michael Van Blyman, one of the instructors, spoke up and said, "Okay, guys, it's time to come back." And that was when, at that time, the Lord did not take me there at the speed of light. I was translated there instantly, teleported, boom, back to my body, and then I opened up my eyes, and I still felt the watery sensation. Yeah, I still felt the watery sensation. I'm remembering. I still felt the watery sensation, and the dimmingness that I had with the eyes of the heart connection was lifting. Things were getting brighter. Things were getting brighter, and things were coming back to normal focus. And then and that was the end of it. That was the end of that session. And then the next day, of course, I decided to test to see if I could reproduce it, and I was able to. I thought about the eyes of my heart, established that passionate connection of love with the Lord, and then thought about the eyes of my heart, and then all of a sudden things started dimming down, and I could see. So yeah. All right. So there's three videos on this because the live session got disconnected 3 times, and so I am going to go into work. I think I'm going to combine all this together also into like one video, so that way it'll be easier to track it instead of having to try to find each one. I mean, I'll label each of the live videos as like 1, 2, 3, but I think I'm going to release another one individually that contains all of it put together. All right. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful day, and God bless.